Yo, what is up, guys? It's your girl Bex, and welcome back to the race rundown post weekend at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. So, as you can see, we're back with a video episode. The background is still absolutely awful. Again, work in progress. Apologies. If you can hear wind as well, I'm not sure if you can see on my glasses right now, but the level of steam we're working with. So, I have a fan here to my right, the left on the video, and I have a fan behind me because it is so warm in the UK right now. It is unfreaking-lievable. I'm sweating and dying of dehydration as we speak. So if I speak a little bit quicker in this episode, that will be why, because I'm trying not to melt into a puddle before your very eyes. So how are we, everybody? What a chaotic weekend in Austria this weekend. So we had an aborted start to begin with. So everyone was lining up, getting ready for the formation lap. Everybody took off, and Mr. Carlos Sainz was sitting there, not moving. It was stuck in first gear, it wasn't moving. So, at this point, everyone was very, very confused. 30 seconds go by, Lando's rounding all the corners, he's nearly back at the grid start to start the race, and Carlos still hasn't moved. All of a sudden, he then gets moving. Fantastic. And does the formation lap. However, at this point they had already aborted the start, which meant that we then had a 10-minute redo, basically a 10-minute re-up for the start of the race, as there was a 10-minute protocol involved. As part of this protocol, Sainz would then have had to start from the pit. So you see him do the formation lap, you see him pull off to the right, he then does the formation lap, pulls off to the right, goes into the pits and stops at the end of the pit lane. All of a sudden, just when you think, okay, we can finally get started, nay, his car bursts into flames. The two rear brakes burst into flames. There's fire everywhere. There's smoke everywhere. Not the first time we've seen Carlos Sainz on fire in Austria. Flashback to his Ferrari being on fire in Austria a couple of years back. They then have to obviously abort and get him out of the car. He's not starting the race. So then we start the race again with everybody doing another formation lap. The lights go out, everything's fantastic. Then what we see next was honestly baffling. Antonelli locking up, taking out Max at his home race. The ball's on the man to take out Max at his home race. Obviously he didn't mean to, he just locked up. However, I have here in my notes on my phone Antonelli doing the God's work. As you can tell, I may or may not be a Max fan, as you can tell from that. So he has since received, if I refer to my group chat, he has since received a 3-place grid penalty and 2 penalty points for his collision with Max. In my opinion, worth it. Sorry, but it is, in my opinion, completely worth it. I think that's probably one of the best crashes I've seen so far this season. Max's first DNF in a very long time. I think it may have been from where Lewis took him out of Austria a little while ago, but I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments, people. Oscar then having a sniff on Lando on lap 6, going wheel to wheel, overtaking on lap 11 and lap 12, them crossing over. At that point, I was busy having a heart attack. I was very, very stressed out because as much as I love seeing them both race each other, I think there's going to come a point like there did last week where they're just going to keep crashing into each other, and there needs to be some sort of rules and regulations there. There needs to be a number one driver situation to avoid basically both of them crashing out, but we'll see where that leads. Either way, fantastic for them. Alex was then out on lap 17. Lap 20, Oscar tries to overtake Lando and locks up and nearly takes them both out. So this was because the McLarens came over the radio and basically said that if you can maintain the position ahead of Oscar, so they said this to Lando, if you could maintain the position ahead of Oscar, you get priority for pitting, which I think is fair enough because he was in P1, so he gets priority. Oscar then obviously really wanted that. That wasn't going to happen, I'm afraid, sir. So he tried it, bottled it, nearly took them both out. Lando then obviously goes into the pits, has a slow front left. Oscar then keeps going for a couple more laps until lap 24, when he then pits with another slow front left. Don't know what was going on there. Pit stop of 3.4 seconds. Yuki and Franco Colapinto then collide in lap 31, with lap 52 having Oscar in again. So what we see from this is then 2 laps later, Piastri then pits. He then comes out in between the Alonso Colapinto drama llamas, and Colapinto nearly crashes into Oscar, just starts turning into him, which was scary for everybody involved. I then have seen a video of something that I'm not sure is actually legit or not. If it is, then it's rather cheeky. I saw it on Twitter. Oscar saying, after all these years, Alpine is still trying to screw me up, huh? And I was like, if that was legit, that's a little bit of a dig there. However, if it was something he said, you can't take it back. It's on live television. So another thing I learned this race is that I didn't realise Bortoleto had Alonso as a manager. That's very interesting. I know about the Mark Webber and Oscar situation, but I didn't know about the Alonso Bortoleto management situation. That was really interesting to me. Also, try saying that 12 times, Alonso and Bortoleto, one after the other. Jesus. Okay, so they're having a argy-bargy, if you will, trying to take position, and Bortoleto tries it down turn 6. At this point, obviously, then the leads are trying to come up to the back markers. Then Alonso lets Lando through. Lando's then through. Oscar is stuck behind Alonso and Bortoleto. However, at the time, this is then causing a little bit of a DRS train. So Alonso's got DRS with Lando. Bortoleto's then got DRS with Alonso. So then you have the whole situation of, obviously, Alonso doesn't want to lose a position, but he needs to let the back markers through. So at this point, you then see him nearly crash into the back of Lando, and I was like, oh my God, not like this. And then Alonso is obviously still trying to fight with Bortoleto. So then at that point, I don't even know. Like, it was just a mess. It was a mess. Either way, it held Oscar up. He was stuck behind them. Lando then, from lap 69 to lap 70, has a clear run and takes the win of the race, leading to the first win for McLaren at the Red Bull Ring since 2001, and also a very quiet afternoon from Max. There was no interviews that I saw. The podium was fantastic. What an absolutely great weekend heading in to this weekend of Silverstone. Yay! I know this episode is a short episode. I know I said they would do one last week, but something cropped up, so I wasn't able to. I really apologise for everybody that had their hopes up for that. I had some couple of things going on in my personal life that I just needed to sort out. That's all sorted now, so we are back to our usual scheduled programming. So next week is obviously Silverstone, as you know, and I am still yet to see the F1 movie, so I have a plan. I have a couple of friends of mine who I am going to their house to watch Silverstone, and we're going to see the F1 movie afterwards, which should be interesting. So, of course, I will give you all the reviews, all the fun from the F1 movie, but that means they will also be involved in the podcast if they want to. Obviously, you've heard them on here a couple of times before. We will have to see if they fancy being a part of it this time round. But until then, I've been a very sweaty version of your girl Bex. Honestly, we need to end this heatwave in this country. This is an absolute joke. I've been your girl Bex. This has been the Race Rundown, and I will see you next week for the Silverstone special. Peace.